Hey everyone, Blaine here. If you followed my brand very long, then you know I love throwing micro jigs for bass, especially in small creeks and rivers. This particular micro jig is one I make myself, and I've been catching tons of fish on it. And although this jig works fantastic on rock bottoms and clear bottoms, one of the complaints that I have with it myself is that it catches a lot of grass. So today I'm looking at making my own mini swim jig that I can throw in grass, something just as light as this, but it won't hang up in grass. So let's get started. So the closest mini swim jig on the market today is the Missile Jigs Mini Swim. This is a 3/16 ounce swim jig in a very small compact package. It's very close to the 1/8 ounce jig that I just showed you a minute ago. But the hook on this thing is a little bit bigger than what I really want to use. I'm going to be fishing this with light tackle, like 6-pound or 8-pound line, so this hook is just a little bit big for that. And I'd love to make this swim jig even a little bit smaller. That's not to say this mini swim jig isn't a good jig, I just want something a little bit lighter with a little bit smaller hook and preferably with a hand-tied skirt. So, the mold I'm looking to accomplish this mini swim jig with is a poison tail jig mold. This dandy little mold can make anything from a 1/8 ounce jig to a 1/4 ounce to a 3/8 ounce jig. So I'm going to be focusing on this 1/8 ounce slot right here. Now if you look on Barlow's tackle at this mold, you'll see that it actually accepts extra wide gap jig hooks instead of traditional round bend hooks. But for this build, I want to use a round bend jig hook, so I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be using a size 1/0 VMC 7250 spinnerbait hook. These are really great hooks. I love the strength they have, and I love that they come in a bunch of sizes, everything from a 1/0 up to a 5/0. So here you can see the difference between this VMC spinnerbait hook and the hook in the mini swim jig. As you can tell, this VMC hook is a little bit smaller, which is just what I want. Now as you can see here, the spinnerbait hook will fit in this mold, but we need something to connect the hook with the eye. For that, I'm going to be using these handy connector links that you can order from Barlow's Tackle. I'm going to bend the wire so that it hooks into the spinnerbait hook and forms the hook eye in the mold. So I'm going to go ahead and pour and paint this head off screen. You've seen me paint many other jigs and other videos, so I'm not going to bore you with the details of how I do that. If you want to see how I paint jigs, please take a look at other videos that I've made. But for now, I'm just going to jump ahead to tying this jig. So here we see this mini swim jig painted black with gold 3D eyes, and that VMC hook is looking really, really good so far. So to tie this jig, I'm going to start with a base of black 210 denier flat wax nylon, as always, and I'm going to do a simple black and blue pattern, kind of like that mini swim jig I showed earlier, but this is going to be my spin on black and blue. So I'm going to start that with a very bright blue belly, and just a flat black top. And then once I have these tied in and all the silicone is distributed around, I'm going to add some fish scale black and blue on top. And that's just going to give this black and blue pattern a little bit of extra pizzazz, something that you don't see a whole lot of in black and blue patterns, but it's something I really love to see, so I'm going to add it here. Now that I've tied this collar, I'm going to go ahead and finish it off. As always, I'm going to tie in a loop of a contrasting color thread, and then I'm going to pull the tag end of my thread I'm using for the collar back through using this loop. And just like that, our collar is done. A little bit of head cement, and this collar will be finished. Now that our collar is finished and we have some head cement on, I'm going to put a drop of super glue gel down in the weed guard hole, and then I'm going to firmly press this FG12 weed guard in the weed guard hole. Now this is a little bit of a lighter weed guard than what you see in the mini swim jig, but for this lighter swim jig, I think it's totally appropriate. It'll work still around light wood and rock. So here is our finished mini swim jig. Now let's compare it with the Missile Jigs Mini Swim. And as you can see, they are very similar. Obviously, I added a gold eye instead of a blue eye, and the weed guard is a little bit heavier on the Missile Jigs Mini Swim. And you can see here the hook is a little bit smaller in mine. But apart from that, we have two very, very similar mini swim jigs. Here's the keeper on mine, and here you can see the barbed keeper on the Missile Jigs Mini Swim. Both will work very well for holding trailers on. All in all, I am stoked with how this swim jig turned out. The colors are spot on. I love that it has a little bit more blue than the Missile Jigs jig had. And I love that it's 1/8 ounce instead of 3/16. That means it'll fall even more slowly in the water column. And that's ultimately what I'm looking for. Wow, and paired up with my favorite swim jig trailer, the Z-Man Baby Goat, it looks even better. All in all, really loving how this swim jig turned out. Once more, here's a side-by-side of the two. Missile Jigs Mini Swim on the left, and my mini swim jig on the right. Thanks for watching and staying with me thus far. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it helpful for any mini swim jigs that you're wanting to make yourself. If you did find this helpful, or if you have any questions over building these mini swim jigs, please drop a comment down below. Again, thanks for watching.